Have you ever wondered what it's like to try to cook a steak or grill something when you can't see? Have you ever wondered what it's like just to get up and go to the bathroom when you can't see? Have you ever wondered how you would actually go and meet a friend at a restaurant when you can't see? Well, wonder no more, because today's special guests is Shane and Amy from Sightless Carnivores. G'day from Australia. I'm Rod from Down Under in Sydney. It is Tuesday, 9 a.m. in the morning. For most of you, it's going to be Monday in the evening or the afternoon. Thanks for joining us here today. And without any further ado, let's go get our guests. Hey, Shane and Amy.
Hey there, Rod. How goes it, man?
All right, good. Great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
You know, there's so many things that we take for granted, us that can see, and even just the simple act. I remember the first time that I met you and working out the framing for your camera, which you guys have gotten pretty good at right now, but a lot of people don't realize that it actually took quite a while to figure out how to get yourselves framed up in the camera, because you can't see how you look on the camera. So you've worked out how to position yourselves pretty well, actually. I've noticed the last couple of times that you're like bang on set up. That's really one of my first questions, is how do you actually get yourselves lined up for a medium like this, where you've got to know where you are in the camera frame, but you can't actually see?
Well, I think, first of all, I have to give credit where it's due, Rod. You helped us out a lot with that. And aside from that, I mean, I think at one point we had a little bit of help from Carrie from Homestead How.
Yeah.
And he helped us fine tune things just a wee bit. And aside from that, as long as we don't move the laptop or anything like that, and as long as we're sitting close like we are.
Yeah, we kind of know where to sit.
Yeah, we know exactly, where to sit and how to sit, and the rest just sort of takes care of itself.
That's awesome. All right. Well, so I've got a lot of questions popping into my head all the time for you guys. So I think where I'd like to start is just to understand how you guys actually met for the first time.
Well, for those who don't know, who haven't seen any of our previous videos or anything like that, and by the way, we are Sightless Carnivores, and you can find us on YouTube. It's at Sightless Carnivores. So if you want to check us out over there, and obviously you're watching this on Stay Strong, Live Long, and I encourage people to go over there and check Rod out, like, share, and subscribe. And anyway, we met through a mutual friend, and it was just a kind of casual, fun conversation, nothing real major. I was in a relationship at that particular point in time, so I wasn't really looking for anybody. But we just kind of kept running into each other at various points in time. And I guess along about late 2011, after Amy's first husband had passed away, because she had met somebody over at a place where she was doing some rehab work, because at that point in time she was at a place called the Chris Cole, C-O-L-E, Chris Cole Rehabilitation Center in Austin, Texas. And it's a place where people that are recently blinded, through accidents or illnesses or whatever, it's a place where they can go and rehabilitate themselves into a quote unquote sighted world.
Yeah.
It teaches folks how to work with computers, work with, how to cook and how to do daily living chores and things like that. Mobility, Braille. And when I say mobility, I mean learning to get around the neighborhood, learning to get around shopping malls, grocery stores, that kind of thing. things that somebody with sight can just go and do. And with when someone is blind or not sighted, they have to do things a bit differently. They have to get sometimes special transportation to get to where they need to go. Sometimes they have to go, especially if it's a place where they're going to go every day, and say a place of work, for example. Sometimes they may have to go before they start work there. Sometimes they may have to go and acclimate themselves to the place so that they don't look like, you know, blundering idiots walking around going, oh, where the heck am I going? Duh. So, it's that kind of stuff that sometimes we have to do a little bit extra.
And a lot of times, if we have to use special transportation, we may have to go an hour or so early before we even want to go.
Wow. Is that because there's not very much of that kind of special transportation available?
Or there's so many riding.
Yeah, because a lot of times, especially in a big city, there's so many people signed up for that service that availability is, I won't say problematic, but it can be a bit challenging, of course, especially not only for us that have to schedule rides, because they tell you to schedule your ride 60 to 90 minutes before you actually have to be there to build in time for unforeseen delays.
Wow.
And so that can, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing, because especially when you have to go somewhere and you're the first person to be dropped off, you're sitting there, unless you bring something to entertain yourself, you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs for an hour and a half or so. So, so it's it's being blind, non-sighted, whatever you want to call it, is not a bad thing at all, but it does have its challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've noticed about you is you've got a lot of patience. You don't easily get flustered, at least from what I've observed. And I think when we were setting up the camera initially, that was a good example. Like it took us, I think, what was it, about 30, 45 minutes, talking to get it set up. And then we were like, okay, now how do we actually make it so that we can repeat this particular setup? And I think that's just amazing. So I'm just going to do a little bit of, we've got a couple of questions here already. So Mama Bear, Lynette, thank you very much for showing up. I know that you're friends of Shane and Amy, and who you've met through YouTube. Isn't that amazing? And I think you guys have been out to dinner and you've helped them with the mobility side of things. So she's actually got a question, which is, do you eat a lot of eggs? So what's your favorite preparation method of eggs? I do. I love eggs.
We do.
We eat
mostly boiled eggs in the Instapot right now.
Yeah, we eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs.
Okay.
And she fixes them in our Instapot.
Yeah. How long do you like to cook? I've got a method where I bring the water to the boil, put the eggs in, and then 7 minutes is like a kind of a soft dish, a little slightly gooey yolk, and then dunk them into ice straight away. How does the Instapot do things? You just put them in the Instapot and then get them out when they're done. Do you cool them down straight away?
What was that?
He was asking if after they come out of the Instapot, do you cool them down straight away?
Yeah, I just run cold water over them. And
okay.
Doing them in the Instapot is amazing because they pretty much, peel. Just it falls off the egg.
Unless you get a bad set of eggs or something, but most of the time, they the shells just peel right off.
I've never actually tried. So how long do you cook them in the Instapot for? I'm fascinated now because I've never actually tried doing it this way.
Well, since I can't see what I'm doing, I do things a little differently than the sighted.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of sighted says 5 minutes. But I may not hit the right buttons, so I do it for 20. And Um, I was always taught growing up to put salt in the water, quite a bit of salt, because
Mm-hmm.
that does something to the eggshell. It helps it
Ah,
peel right
yeah,
off.
yeah.
But
Interesting. I'm gonna try that.
I've tried going less than 20, and they
Yeah.
just don't turn out for me. So
Okay. Yeah. So that's actually quite a long time because usually, when you pressure cook it, it reduces the time. Very
yeah,
interesting. So Tracy Kinsel, thanks for joining us here today, Tracy. She always turns up to all the live streams. Sharon from Buckeye, Arizona, thanks for joining us. Twin Maples Carnivore Homestead, thank you for joining us today. Crystal Legan from Indiana, g'day from Australia, thanks for being
Yeah.
here. Shayna Haynes, big supporter of my channel and many others. Thank you, Shayna, for joining us here today. So we've got a question here from another one from Mama Bear Lynette. She's going to lead the way with the questions. Shane and Amy, where have you travelled and what was your favourite destination? There was a few questions actually. And what challenges were presented to you as a sightless person when you were travelling?
probably when we went on our cruise, huh?
Yeah, the first time we traveled, we actually went on a cruise for our honeymoon right after our wedding, and it was not. I don't think it was all that challenging, mainly because my sister and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law, by the way, has been my best friend since he and I were kids in elementary school.
Awesome.
And so they went along with us. Of course, they didn't get in our way. They pretty much stayed to themselves unless one of us needed help with something.
Mm.
And so that wasn't as challenging. But what should really be interesting is we went on another cruise about a year later
Yeah.
with a couple of other friends of mine. Well, ours really.
My sister went too.
That were blind, and then my sister-in-law Amy's older sister went with us, and you should have seen some of the things that happened. I think one of the other blind people that went with us ended up. Of course, this is not a funny thing now, but it's. I mean, it wasn't funny then, but it's funny looking back at it. I
Yeah.
think she ended up falling down a set of stairs.
Oh my God.
Well, it's because they didn't want to ask for help.
Yeah, because they were
They wanted to do it all on their own.
Yeah, they were hell bent on,
Yeah.
we're going to do all this on our own, and we're not going to ask for any help. Which a prideful blind person is not a good combination.
I can imagine how that would occur though, because I think that people think, you're like disabled, not able to do things for yourself. So people out of the goodness of their heart are probably going to want to help you do things without realizing that, well, the reality is that you can do most things that sighted people can do. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, and it's better to see if you need help rather than say, okay, let me do that for you. It can
Exactly.
feel like you're being mollycoddled a bit, I guess.
Because, I mean, I've had so many people, without asking, some people will just walk up and start trying to help me do something, and they really have no clue what I am or am not capable of. And I gently tell folks, I appreciate your help, but I've got this.
Yeah. I think people come from the right place, don't they?
Yeah.
All right. So Carnivore Ron, thanks for joining us today. Actually, Carnivore Ron is going to be coming on to the channel in a couple of weeks, so we'll be able to hear more about his story. Twin Maples Carnivore Homestead. Yes, the eggs stops them from going green when you fast chill them. I used to do the same as you, Amy, where I'd rinse them off with cold water, and then recently I've started dumping them in ice. Take them out of the container, dump them in ice. I know that's easier said than done when you can't see what you're doing. Chronically Carnivore. That's one I haven't seen before. I think that's one of your followers, Shane and Amy, is joining us.
That's Heidi.
Yeah, that's Heidi.
Heidi. Okay. Welcome, Heidi. Thanks for coming on the show. We've got, let's see, a question here from Anders and Charlene. Thank you, guys. Greetings from sunny Brisbane, which is north of where I am. Well, it's way north, actually, probably about a 12-hour drive. Amy, did you lose your sight as part of complications of type 2 diabetes?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes, and I was probably type 2 way before I found out, because I lost my eyesight, started losing my eyesight way before. Well, it was really close to when I found out I was type 2, so they think that I was type 2 way before I found out.
So the damage was a lot of the damage was already done at that point.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when I got most of it back, I lost it to glaucoma. So.
And do you have any residual vision at all? Like, is there different gradations of light, or is it just completely black all the time for both of you?
For me, sometimes I can tell if I turn the light on or off. I can see just that, or if I hold my iPhone really, really close, I can tell when it comes on because of the light. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Yep. And Shane, I can't remember. Have you ever had sight in your lifetime, or you've always been without sight?
I've always been blind. In fact, I was premature at birth. Was born 3.5 months early. Weighed in at 1 pound and 15 ounces. Went down to 1 pound and 8 ounces, and was 10 3/4 inches long. Doctors told my mom I wouldn't live 10 minutes, and if I lived at all, I'd be a complete vegetable.
Yeah. Prove them wrong, hey?
I did. And and I tell people all the time, I'll be 55 in November, and after all this time, I'm still kicking butt and taking names.
Yeah. Now I know that you work for Apple in this as part of their support team. I'm interested in how on earth did you get that job in the first place? How did that work out?
Well, interestingly enough, there's a website called ratracerebellion.com, and it's a website that specializes in helping people find jobs where they can work at home.
Okay.
And, not that I have a problem, if I ever had to go into an office and work, that kind of thing, I don't have a problem with that. But I figured, this may prove to be a fruitful endeavor. And I didn't have any idea at that point when I signed up for them that I might, hear something from. It's actually a company called Concentric Services, and they're a worldwide technology company. Apple just happens to be one of their biggest clients, so it's like I work Apple tech support, but I'm actually paid by the Concentric Services company that I just spoke about.
I see.
And but I just I got an email from them, from the Rat Race Rebellion people, with some links, and I just clicked on the links and started checking things out, and went through all their preliminary processes and interviews and what have you, and I finally got the job. What scared me, though, was when I went for my typing test. By the time, because they called me back and they said that I tested out at 110 words a minute accurately.
Wow.
And
sorry. Keep going. That was my phone. I should know better.
So, and so it was interesting because the way the typing test was set up, the top half of the screen contained the text that you were supposed to retype in the bottom half of the screen, verbatim.
Oh.
And so I figured, you know what? There's more than one way to skin a cat. And my apologies to any cat lovers out there. Let's hope I don't offend anybody with that. But anyway, I cheated just a little bit, and I took the text in the upper half of the screen copied and pasted it into a notepad document on my computer. And so when I started the test, I read some, typed some, read some, typed some, read some, typed some. And I was just frantically typing on the keyboard and going back and forth between windows. I finally finished that test, and I was like, whew, I was sweating bullets, oh, Lord, get me through this, And so it was evidently a success because I've been doing this job now for slightly more than 6.5 years.
Wow, that is amazing. I can't imagine that sort of, it's enough pressure to have to do a test that's for a job in the first place, but then to have to go, okay, how on earth am I going to figure this out and then come up with a solution and then execute? That's like kudos to you. All right, a few more people have joined us. Carnivore Dog Sitter Becky, thank you. I've seen quite a number of your comments on my channel. Thank you, Becky. Hi, Shane and Amy from Darlene Miller. Thanks for joining us. Susan Hampton, thank you for joining. I think Susan is probably one of the most prolific commenters on all of the Carnivore channels. I see her all over the place. Yeah. Amelia Byrne says hi. Amelia Byrne. You can't see some of the interesting icons that people have on their channel names, but Amelia's got this, it looks like a little fox. It's very cool. I like it. All right, so we've got another question here from Mama Bear Lynette. Shane, how frustrating is it for you and your job as an Apple IT person when you are trying to give instructions to a sighted person and they still can't get it right?
Oh boy, yeah, that's and bless their hearts, especially some of the older people that are not computer savvy. I mean, I've spoken to people that just, I'm not even sure how to describe it, but I'll say, go up to the top of your screen and click on the apple that's up at the top left of your screen. Well, how do you do that?
Oh my God.
Going, oh boy.
It's going to be a long call.
Yeah, it's going to be a long call. And now one of the things about this job is that, and a lot of people use this, I am not able to because of my accessibility situation, but screen sharing will go an awful long way to helping a customer with their issues. And because all of their the software that they use for screen sharing, the Mac uses something called VoiceOver, and it is a screen reader that takes what is on the display from the Mac and transmits it into spoken words.
Yep.
And that VoiceOver package and the screen sharing software that we use don't play nice together. So I usually have to get those calls, especially when they ask for screen sharing straight away. Sometimes I'll tell them, well, this shouldn't be necessary because I can walk you through it. And sometimes they're receptive to it and I can walk them through what they need to do without any problem. And sometimes they're insistent on it and I have to get them somewhere else to get the help that they need.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. So we've got Karen Loach from Pennsylvania. Hello, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Question here from Anders and Charlene. Keep your questions coming, guys. I really appreciate that. Amy, can you get glaucoma surgery to restore some eyesight? That's from Anders and Charlene.
I'm really not sure. Since, I've pretty much lost it to glaucoma. I don't know. I've had so many surgeries there at the beginning. I don't know. I'd really have to think about it.
Yeah. I know. I've only had one surgery in my life, and I'm like, I don't want to get back in hospital. And I don't want to do that.
No.
Because there for a while, I was having eye surgery every week.
Wow,
because
every week.
yeah,
So
because
every week that means you general anesthetic, the whole deal. You've got to do that every time, right, to get your eyes worked on, don't you?
yeah, because the retina kept detaching, and when the retina detaches, they have to do it within a certain amount of time, or you know, you'll lose your sight anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So Lisa in Palm Desert, hi Lisa, has a question which is: have your diabetic numbers gotten better? Have you had any labs done since you've started with the carnivore diet?
no, my numbers are coming down, my
Mm-hmm.
blood sugar, but no, I haven't had any labs done.
Yep, yep. And Mama Bear Lynette has another question, which is: what's your favourite carnivore meal?
Steak, steak, and more steak.
Which cut of steak do you like, Shane?
Um, I think we like the
The ribeye.
ribeyes the best.
Oh yeah,
It seems to
yeah,
be real tender.
Real tender, real
yeah,
juicy.
yep. And how do you cook those? I can't remember if I've seen you guys cook steak. You cook them on the grill. I know that much. Do you
Yeah.
usually do it on the grill? Yep.
Um, well, we pretty much like ours done.
Yeah,
So
we don't want it moving at us.
uh, I've been doing them 20 to 25 minutes on each side,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they're really, really tender and good.
Yeah. Yeah. Amelia Burns says, so Amelia's the one that's got a fox as her user icon. And she says, we have a lot of foxes here in Ireland. Right, a lot of people leave food out in their gardens for that beautiful reddish colour coat. That does sound amazing. So Mama Bear Lynette wants to know, have you guys told your family that you are carnivore, and what was their response? How did they react initially?
We well,
One of my sisters knows, but that's pretty much about it.
yeah, we haven't told the rest of our families only because uh, they they seem to think that it's that if you've got stuff wrong with you or whatever, that you're supposed to go to the doctor and get all sorts of medications and basically they want you to follow conventional medical science. And
Yep.
Amy and I haven't followed conventional medical science in a very long time, only because we know that most doctors want you to keep coming back, and all they're going to do is
give you more medicine.
prescribe you more
Yeah.
medications, and you've got to take one medication for this, another medication for this one side effects, and other medications for that one side effects, and you just become a walking pharmacy if you comply with what they want, and we
Yeah.
refuse to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you've got to think for yourself, don't you?
Yeah,
There's
and
so much of our society we're told how to think, and you think for yourself, follow the evidence, make your own decisions.
exactly, and that's what we've chosen to do. We've chosen, because especially people, that are on keto or even more so carnivore, you have to kind of be at least as much as you can be. You kind of have to be your own doctor because you have to listen to and pay attention to what your body is telling you to know. Okay, for example, when you're eating, most people, back in the olden days, your parents taught you clean your plate, you know, or eat your vegetables, they're good for you, and we know now that a lot of the vegetables that are out there are full of poison and crap, um, because of all the pesticides and the chemicals that get sprayed on them and all this. And with meat, especially beef, with those being ruminant animals, um, once the meat has gone through all of its processes, all of the nutrition that your body needs is there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how, well, it's just mind bending for some people who have never eaten this way. And even for me, it's like I had some doubt about, okay, well, if I just eat meat and a little bit of dairy, is that going to be enough? Because I stopped taking supplements, I stopped consuming protein powder, did all that. And, 3.5 months later, I've never been healthier. So it kind of proves the point, one experiment. And there's thousands as well that do the same sort of thing. Lisa in Palm Desert, hi Lisa, wants to say you two should put the donate thanks button on your YouTube channel. And I will say that if you go and look at any of Shane and Amy's videos on their channel, which is at Silas Carnivores, I've put that on their photo there, then you will see there will be a link. They do have a GoFundMe page that Kerry from Homestead How helped them set up. And yeah, any donations would be sincerely appreciated. So thanks for reminding us about that, Lisa.
Yeah.
Victoria Ortiz has just joined us. Hi, Shane and Amy. Your story is so inspiring. Sure is. And let's see if we've gotten everyone. Yep, I've gotten everyone now. So, well, tell us a little bit how you came to realize or to find out about the carnivore diet and how you actually got started.
Well, we started watching, and we've watched a lot of videos on keto and this, because we actually did the vegan thing for a while, and that just didn't work. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't sustainable for us. And
we felt better for a while.
Yeah, we felt better for a little while, but we have felt absolutely amazing comparatively on carnivore. I mean, the way we feel, our energy levels are awesome. I think this past couple of days, though, we've been just feeling lazy and have been laying around a lot. But for the most part, this way of eating is just amazing. We feel great. I had bad sleep apnea for a while. That's gone. I had what else? I really can't think. Heartburn, acid reflux.
That's gone for both of us.
That's gone for both of us. We both had that issue going on. That's all gone. And Amy, you had some stuff. You had some stuff too.
You had restless leg.
Yeah, I had restless leg for a little bit, and that's gone.
Interesting.
Since we started taking our the element drinks. And so just
feel amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really put words into it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Now, I knew this was going to happen, and Mama Bear Lynette is, if this is putting you on the spot, Shane, you probably know what's coming, don't you? She wants to know whether you would actually sing us a song. Now, I'll just preface this a little bit to say I've heard Shane sing, and he is way better than what he says he is, without putting too much pressure on him. He's pretty good with country, and I think I heard JT from Poco Moonshine channel say he was a bit concerned that he was going to get a copyright strike because it sounded so good. I have similar concerns, but yeah, we're just wondering whether you might like to sing something for us, Shane, if it's
I'll sing a little bit.
Alrighty. Now, some people might not do country music. So, is there a particular song that you would prefer to do?
I'm going to do the chorus from "On the Other Hand" by Randy Travis.
All right.
And he sounds like Randy.
All right.
Excuse me. Let me start that over.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's a golden band to remind me of someone who would not understand. On one hand, I could stay and be your loving man, but the reason I must go is on the other hand.
That was awesome. Great. great work. Thank you. That's the first time I've ever had anyone on my channel actually sing. So good for you, man. You could do Have you ever had any? I know you sing for fun. Has anyone ever said, "Hey, could you actually like record this for my project?" Or have you ever had anybody say that?
No, no, not yet.
It might happen now. It's you're out there in the world now, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. I
All
also
right.
I also can play a pretty mean drum set too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that would be interesting. So you've got a drum set in your house there that you regularly get down on.
Yeah, I haven't
Well,
played recently because we've lived in this apartment now for 2 years and
Mm.
haven't been able to find anybody competent enough to come over and help me get them set up. So, but once I get them set up, you bet I'll be rocking on them. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to see that for sure. Chronically Carnivore says learning to be independent without vision seems to have given you an edge in being independent thinkers in regards to health. Yeah, I think in some ways, not being able to see has been an advantage for you over us people that can see. I'm beginning to get the impression of that. 51 Springfield says hello from mid Ohio. Hey there. Victoria Ortiz has a question, which is how long have you been doing carnivore? I think we've been doing it for a similar period of time. When did you guys start?
June 15th of this year, and in fact,
next week it'll be
yeah,
3 months.
this coming Friday it'll be 3 months for us.
Okay. All right. Yeah, pretty similar. I think I hit 3 months a few days ago. Karen's carnivore journey. Hi, Karen. Wants to know, have you ever thought about getting a service dog?
Actually, I had a seeing eye dog. I went in 2006 to seeing eye in Morristown, New Jersey, and I had her up until what was it, 2016?
Yeah,
So 10
26.
years.
Yeah, she passed away in 2016. I've really thought about going back to get another one
Yeah.
since we're
Um,
feeling better and everything, and we might start getting out more.
yeah. So is 10 years, is that kind of the average? What sort of dog was it? Was it a Labrador
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
yeah. Is that,
She was a black lab.
yeah. Is that their general lifespan? It seems kind of short for a dog.
Well, I think the working life is
Mm,
about 10 years. Of course, depending on how well they're taken care of and that kind of thing,
Yeah,
they can probably
yeah.
live a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hester. She a year before we lost her. She had to have her spleen removed, wasn't it?
Yeah, her spleen.
Yeah,
And
Mm,
weirdly enough, when they took the spleen out, the spleen alone weighed about somewhere around 10 pounds. And that was just the spleen
yeah.
by
oh
itself.
my goodness. Yeah. So
But
she had some sort of illness.
after they did that, you know, we had her another year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think we actually retired her sometime in 2014 as a service dog because she was just
She was
she
slowing
was
down.
slowing down and not wanting to work and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So we just decided to retire her and just make a pet out of her.
Yeah. She had a couple of years of retirement.
Yeah.
That's good. Susan Hampton, I love old country music, she says. Yeah, I do too. You know what? The way I grew up in the bush in Western Australia. I think I've told you guys. And yeah, so music for me growing up was Dolly Parton, Kenny
Yep.
Rogers, Willie Nelson, Linda Ronstadt, Eddie Rabbitt. And you know what? My dad was, he was into like marching bands. You know, he actually used to be in a marching band. Oh, gee, I forgot
Wow.
about that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was, that was often played a lot on the radio. It wasn't until I became a teenager that I discovered the world of popular music because my dad installed, because we were like, our nearest neighbor was probably 10 miles away at least. And, when you're that far away from anywhere, you don't really get any good radio stations, right? So my dad
Right.
built this massive tower because he could build windmills, right? built this massive tower, put an aerial up in the tower so that we could then pick up the commercial radio stations from Perth, which was the nearest capital city. And that's when I discovered popular music, and never really went back to country after that. Although I still enjoy it. John Denver was another one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
As well. Carnivore Ron, thanks for joining us. Says great. Music is like food; it needs to be shared. Absolutely, that's great. Susan Hampton's enjoyed that your song there, Shane. Don't be surprised if you get invitations to other channels so you can come and sing for them. Darlene Miller says, "Wow, that's great, Shane." Addicted to Antlers gives us a round of applause. Sean, thanks for joining us. Sean says, loved it. Oh, you've got loads of comments here. Lisa in Palm Desert. Wow, great! What a great voice. Amelia Byrne, you have a beautiful singing voice, Shane. Carnivore Ron has a drum set too. He says, I watch when my neighbours are gone. I think he meant maybe I play when my neighbours are gone.
Maybe he watches for the neighbors to go, and then he practices.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. You got it. And Carnivore Brothers, it says, you two are remarkable. I love that you are sharing your story. How did you first learn about carnivore? I think they've just joined us a little bit. So was it a particular influencer? Like, was it Dr. Berry or one of those that you initially found out about the carnivore way of eating?
We started watching Dr. Berry, believe it or not. And yep. he got us, stoked up and excited about it, and hey, we ought to try this. We're kind of figuring, what have we got to lose at this point? And so we, like I said, we started on the 15th of June, and have not looked back, and don't plan to look back, and don't plan to deviate a whole lot from this way of eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I often, when I think about when I first started, it was like, okay, well, there's only so many options when you eat this way. But I think once you start to feel better, then this association with feeling better and what you eat becomes much stronger. So now it's gone from, well, I might be bored about it, to like, I cannot wait to have bacon and eggs. Like, I start thinking about it because it's always my first meal of the day. I start thinking about it about 9 o'clock, not because I'm hungry, but because I actually really, really, really like it, and I like how I feel afterwards. So, yeah, I think that's something I wasn't expecting. I've had a few comments from people about Labradors and large dogs. See, I didn't know this. So I didn't own a large dog. I had a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and he lived for 20 years. Wow. Despite the fact that my mother-in-law at the time tried to overfeed him once he got older, but he still lived for a very long time. And then Labrador Retrievers, addicted to antlers, thanks for joining us, says, I think Labrador Retrievers live an average of 12 years. Now, for anyone who's just joining us, if it's not obvious, Shane and Amy are completely blind. They cannot see, which is why I'm reading a lot of the comments out so that they know what you guys are saying. Addictive Antlers also says that he's had several, and he's got one now that's actually 13 and a half years old, as in several Labrador Retrievers. So that's pretty old for one of those dogs then.
Yeah.
Karen's Carnivore Journey, dogs have the same issues we do, only worse. Think about eating that nasty brown processed kibble your whole life. Yuck. Yeah, I often think about that. People that are carnivores, now they're dogs. They've got dogs. They're going to have straight meat, which is what they really need anyway.
Yeah, because we've heard a couple of amazing stories about people who have put their dogs on a strict carnivore diet, and the dogs are just thriving.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, you only have to look at how wolves eat. You don't have to look at how dingo. We have dingoes here in Australia, and that's all they eat. It's just meat. That's it. Nothing else.
Now,
Sharon, sorry, go ahead, Shane.
I have a question. What is a wallaby?
A wallaby. So a wallaby is like a small kangaroo. So it's hard to describe, I guess, because you've never actually seen a kangaroo. So yeah, a wallaby is really just a small version. So generally, wallabies are they stick to the bush. They're not out in the open plains quite as much as what kangaroos are, and they're at least half of the size. So in Australia, we have different breeds of kangaroos. The red kangaroo is the largest one, so they can reach like 7 feet, 7.5 feet tall. They are a big animal. And they have these massive pectoral muscles and massive leg muscles, and yeah, they can rip you a new one very easily if they get upset. But yeah, wallabies are around about a third the size, very small, very fast, very nimble creatures.
Because I have to put something in here. Whenever I think about Australia or animals, I always think of that song, "Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down, tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down," and I don't know the rest of it, so that's about all you're going to get from me out of that song. But
yeah. The other part of it is "Watch me wallabies feed, mate. Watch me wallabies feed." I won't sing anymore because I know I'm
wow.
So Sharon wants to know: do you two use a walking cane, and how tall are you?
I use
we got her one of those telescopic canes where it's kind of like a radio antenna.
Yeah.
For those that are familiar with the old style radio antennas that you had to put up and then put down, it had little sections and they would just kind of go into each other. That's kind of what this cane of hers was like that we got her. And I myself, shoot, I haven't used a cane in years. I just sort of
use your chair.
I just use my chair and I use my feet, like when I'm going along somewhere, to kind of feel where I'm at. But I haven't used a cane to speak of in a number of years. As far as how tall I am,
I'm 5'2.5".
Yeah, she's 5'2.5", and I actually, before I got into high school, I was 5'6.5", and then during my freshman year of high school, in January of 1985, I had a spinal operation. They put a Harrington rod in my back because at that point in time, before they did the operation, my backbone looked like an S, like a laying down S. And so when they put the metal rod in and they straightened me out, I grew 3.5 inches just on the operating table.
Wow. For some people might not realize that you have cerebral palsy as well.
That's right. That's why I'm in the chair, and I've also had both of my hips replaced. So.
All right. Karen's Carnivore Journey says, I marched in a drum and bugle corps in my teens, similar to a marching band but more military. Yeah. Amelia Burns says, yes, Karen, dogs can get diabetes too. Victoria Ortiz says, wow, Shane, good job. I think she's talking about your singing there. Carnivore Brothers, I had my sweet black lab for 15 years. Wow, that's really, that's old for any dog. Karen's Carnivore Jetty, everybody's got dogs, here we go. I had a Dachshund that was epileptic, and we gave her medication, and she lived to be 18. And Carnivore Brothers says they're about to start feeding their dog a carnivore diet as well. And Addicted Antlers is just pointing out the gender here. I'm a woman, everyone. Thanks for that. And Darlene Miller says, Shane, you should get on a talent show. America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's automatic to think Addicted to Antlers. Just also another comment. My name does seem to be masculine. Yeah, it's automatic to think, antlers, hunting, to associate that with women. But hey, women do that, have that sort of thing as well. All right, so we've actually gotten through all the comments. Thanks everyone for showing up today. If you are just joining us here, we've got Shane and Amy, who are a completely blind couple who have been on the carnivore diet for about 90 days. So we're just learning about what they've been up to, how they started, how they actually live their life as well. If you'd like to support what they do, their channel is Sightless Carnivores, and it'd be most appreciated if you could. You can learn more about what they're up to. They've actually managed to take a number of videos. You can imagine how difficult it would be just to film a video of something when you can't actually see what you're doing. I think it's just amazing. So Mama Bear has a question for you, which is, what is one store or other venue that you haven't been to in a long time, but you really want to go to?
I would love to go someplace and just raid the meat counter. Doesn't really matter where, as long as they have a good meat counter, we can just raid and pilfer, whatever. But I don't mean it like that. I just mean, a really good meat counter where we can just go, oh my God, that looks good, or whatever. And
Now, I get that, actually. I went with my sister-in-law very recently last week to a specialist. It was like a fresh produce provider. They had fresh produce. They also had this really large meat counter. And because I normally shop at Aldi, I have ordered online from a specialist farmer recently as well. But they had a lot of bulk cuts, like the casserole cuts where you can slice up, which I'd never really seen before, only online. I've never, because you can't buy that sort of stuff in Aldi or Woolies or Coles or any of those. But there was these large, like 3-4 kilogram cuts of meat, like ribeye and there was just everything there. It was like, oh my God, this place is amazing, because it's like so much cheaper when you buy it in the bulk like that as well. I thought, oh, I've just got to come back to this place. I could have easily spent hundreds of dollars there and just taken it all home. It was really, really good. So thanks for, let's see, if you've got a question for Shane and Amy, then just put a Q in front of your comment and I will pick that up for you. Addicted to Antlers says, I just like to hunt and fish and do guy stuff with my husband. I like that. Is it really guy stuff, or is it hunting and fishing? It's funny how there's all these sort of gender appropriate things that we do, isn't it? It's like guys do hunting and fishing, and girls go to the hair salon, that sort of thing. I think it still exists in society today. So I really like it when people kind of step outside of that general societal mold. I always find those types of people way more interesting.
Yeah. Also, if you want to email us, if you have any questions, comments, even complaints, okay? But we are available at sightlesscarnivores@gmail.com.
Okay, I'll put that in a banner for you so that people can see it. Let's just get that up for you. So you can't see this, Shane Amy, but I'm creating a banner that is now scrolling along the bottom of the screen with your email address.
And we also have a GoFundMe page, which should be somewhere in the...
Yeah, that's in... So if you go to Shane and Amy's YouTube channel, which is at Sightless Carnivores, then any of their videos, we've got links to their GoFundMe page, and they appreciate any support that you might have.
Yeah.
Addicted to Antlers, you've always been a tomboy. Yeah, that's understandable with the interest in hunting and fishing and whatnot. So Karen's Carnivore Journey says, why am I not seeing her comments? It's because we're simulcast on 2 channels. So Karen, if you open up another tab, I think you're on my channel, and then Addicted to Antlers is on Shane and Amy's channel. And so I can see all the comments, but you would only be able to see the comments that are coming through on my channel. So if you just open up another tab, go to Sightless Carnivores, start their live stream, mute it, because otherwise you're going to get an echo, and then you'll be able to see all of the comments. Let's see. We've got all of the comments there. All right. So what advice do you have for people who are starting out or thinking about starting out with the carnivore way of eating, Shane and Amy?
I say just do it. Cut out all the sugar and all the processed crap that's out there, and that's what it is. It's crap. All the sugar and all the carbs and all the the fruits and vegetables and whatever. And it may sound hard and it may be daunting at first, but once you get into it, you'll realize that this really is the way. The carnivore way of eating is the absolute simplest way to eat.
Yeah.
And if you cut out all the extra crap, you're going to feel a lot better for it. Now, some things may take some time. If you have certain health issues or medical issues, whatever the case may be, some of them are not going to fix themselves overnight. So this does require a certain amount of patience. And so just give it time and enjoy the things that happen quickly. Enjoy those and embrace those and realize that it can only get better, and you're going to feel a lot better for it. Your body will thank you for, in the long run, your body will thank you immensely for what you've done for it.
Yeah, I always say to people that the first step, and you know what, I really don't care if people are vegan or carnivore or keto or whatever they are. If you can just eliminate processed food, and just get back to single ingredient foods, then that's a big step in the right direction for having better health. But the thing about when you go to the carnivore, it's an elimination diet, so it allows you to eliminate most foods except for those meat and some dairy being very low inflammatory, and you can then sort of give your body a rest, allow it to heal, and then if you want to go and reintroduce some foods, then you're in a position where you can conduct a proper experiment because you've been without that food for a period of time. You can reintroduce something and then you can see, okay, well, I got a reaction from that, so I know that's not good for me. And some people, vegetables is a good example. There's a lot more lectins and other things in vegetables that some people really don't tolerate very well, but they've never actually given their body a chance not to have them. Right. And then they introduce them back again and they go, oh, that actually just gave me diarrhea, or I feel ill, or I'm swollen, or whatever. And you can sort of assess that, and then sometimes you might find that something is okay. So, it does give you that elimination process to begin with, which then allows you to experiment and see how you go. And it's amazing what that just eliminating all of those processed carbohydrates can do for you. And don't let anybody tell you that you need to have carbohydrates. There's so many doctors now that have shown scientifically why we don't need carbohydrates. But there's so many people now that follow this way of eating, and I work out like a demon. So, and I just did a workout with my friend this morning, which was about 40 minutes. I'm not eating anything since about 6:30 last night, and I would barely have 1 or 2 grams of carbohydrates in the space of a day, and I have no problems with energy. So that's something else.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's because, like you were saying, doctors will tell you anything, and it's because that's what they've been taught. They haven't been taught. They really haven't been, because in medical school, I think they probably give you an hour's worth of stuff on nutrition, and it doesn't even scratch the surface. And when you eat the carnivore way, you get all the nutrition that you need from the meat that you eat.
Yeah.
And it's I can see where doctors and other health professionals and people would find it hard to wrap their heads around something like that because of all the other stuff that they've been taught in medical school and things like that. They bless their hearts, they don't know any better.
Yeah, the science is still catching up, and science is almost like the new religion. And but the fact is that regardless of whether there is like some really good longitudinal studies, it doesn't refute the fact that there are now thousands of people with their own experience who have talked about their own experience. And you only just have to look around. You only just have to do a bit of research on YouTube, and you'll start finding those people.
And it's people like not only Dr. Berry, but Dr. Sean Baker, I think, was the first person that started this carnivore business, And I think Dr. Berry fell into step with him. Dr. Berry found him and started this. So Dr. Berry wasn't actually the first person that thought of this carnivore stuff. So of course now we've got Dr. Baker, Dr. Berry, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, however you want to pronounce his last name. He's actually an American doctor doing residency now somewhere in Australia.
Yeah, over in Perth. That's where I spent a lot of time, over in Perth as well.
And there's also a Dr. Robert Kiltz in, I think he's in New York right now. There's a Dr. Lisa, somebody, I don't remember her last name.
Lisa Weiderman, I think.
Weiderman,
yeah.
The carnivore doctor. So there's just a wealth of people, a handful of people out there that are just very strong proponents of this way of eating.
Actually, Lisa, I think she's an eye doctor.
Yeah, Lisa, I think.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She started recommending to her patients to go the carnivore way, or at least keto, I think, and then it's sort of gone more carnivore after that.
These people are just very, very strong advocates for the carnivore way. So
if you've got any questions, people, we'll start wrapping up fairly soon. We've got one here from Mama Bear Lynette, which was, what was the hardest carb for you to get rid of? Did you have a favorite special treat? Did you just go cold turkey and drop it out of your way of eating, or did you slowly transition?
What was the hardest thing we gave up?
I think it was those
yeah.
I think it was those Belvita breakfast biscuits,
yeah,
especially at least for you, I think.
Yeah, the Belvita blueberry biscuits and probably the Diet Pepsi.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Diet Pepsi probably was the last thing that we finally gave up.
Yeah. And why did you feel like you needed to give that up?
Well, I know it's not good for us. I know it's got all kinds of bad stuff in it.
The aspartame and God only knows what else is in the stuff that just isn't good for you. So,
yeah. I actually found I didn't care too much. I just wanted something sweet, and then eventually I figured out, well, by having that, it actually, the craving just never goes away. So once I cut it out, then the craving went away, and that was it. I was like free of being addicted to needing to have something sweet, which is pretty liberating.
And the cool thing about carnivore is, you have all these people that are on these different kinds of diets, and they always talk about counting this or counting that or counting the other. On carnivore, you don't have to count anything. You sit down to your favorite meal and you eat until you're comfortably stuffed.
Yeah. That's well recited. That's exactly what Dr. Kinberry says.
Yep.
Karen's Carnivore Journey says, I'm 66 years old, and all I heard growing up in the 60s was, you can't do that, you're a girl. Yeah, I can imagine. My mum, my mum's one of my heroes. She was pregnant at the age of 16, and then she kept, and then I'm the result. So she had a baby when she was 17, and then she actually had another when she was 19, and had to make her way in the world against great opposition. Her parents did not want her to keep me obviously, at such a tender age. And she's had a lot of people telling her, you can't do this, you can't do that, but she didn't listen to any of them. And she's, like I said, one of my heroes.
It's like, when people used to tell me, you can't do this because you're blind. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to prove some folks wrong. And I used to be back in the day when video games were simpler than they are now. I used to be excellent at certain video games. And it's because I could tell by the kind of sounds the video games were making what to do, how to do, and whatever. Now, of course, did I still get killed? Sure. But I was able to score relatively high in those games. I don't think I ever cleared any screens or anything like a lot of sighted people can do, but I enjoyed the noises and just being around the video games. This is back when I was in my early teens, and I used to frequent video arcades back then.
Ah, yeah, that would have been a sound smorgasbord in those places.
Oh my God, yes.
I've got a few more comments. So, as Susan Hampton said to Addicted to Antlers, my husband was an outdoorsman and we had 4 daughters, no sons. He often took them hunting and fishing with him, but only one at a time. They loved it. That's awesome. Susan also wants to know what day and time it is for me. It is 10 o'clock in the morning on the 12th of September on Tuesday. Susan? Karen's Carnivore Journey says that no child's activity should be limited because of gender alone. It has nothing to do with sex. It's just an interest in activities that are different from the mainstream. Completely agree. She also says her nemesis, the carbohydrate nemesis, is potatoes. And that she's not over the divorce from them at this stage. Amelia Burns says, I found giving up potatoes and bread the hardest. Yeah, I was lucky because bread never agreed with me, so I didn't have to give it up. Karen's Carnivore Journey also says, Dr. Chafe is my hero. He confirmed that plants are trying to kill me. I've always hated them, except corn and potatoes. Let's see. Yeah, lots of comments from Karen's Carnivore Journey. Thank you for those. For Christine Cooper in NZ, she's in New Zealand, it's 12:05 a.m., Tuesday the 12th. Actually, it's probably PM because I think you guys are 2 hours ahead of where I am in Sydney. And I'm going to take one final question from Abby U7, and then we'll wrap it up, guys. So if you've got any final questions, drop them in. Otherwise, we're going to start saying goodbye soon. Do you use any artificial sweeteners like stevia? Well, actually, stevia isn't artificial. It's made from a herb, but it is, I guess, not like, it's not a sugar.
Well, it is. It's plant-based.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, I think some things we've tried with the stevia, some of it's okay and some of it, I'll let Amy talk a little more about that.
Well, it's kind of funny. Before we started eating healthy, I could do anything I wanted to do with Splenda. And I guess because we're getting healthier, I can't have Splenda at all.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah, I had the same experience. I used to have this ice cream that I know was sweetened with, I think it was actually stevia or even erythritol, which I used to tolerate kind of okay. And then after I went to Carnivore, and then I still had this habit of buying this particular little tub of ice cream every afternoon. It really just gave me the runs chronically. And I was like, oh, that's it. I'm done. Yeah. I can't do it again.
I told Shane, I said, it's not worth it. It's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Shane, Amy, it's been amazing having you on the channel. I really appreciate you taking the time. You guys are doing great. You're an inspiration to many people, and I really encourage you to keep sharing your story. Thanks for everyone for joining us today. Have you got anything final that you want to say, you want to leave people with before we wrap it up?
Well, first of all, Rod, thank you again for having us immensely. And, for those that haven't started it yet, it's not too late. Just, if you can, dive right in. If not, then, slowly transition if you have to. But the carnivore way really is, if you can do it, the carnivore way really is the best way to go. And there's another carnivore out there that I need to mention. For those of you who don't know anything about Old Guy Carnivore, I don't know where he's from or anything, but his name is Mitch. And as he always says at the end of every one of his videos, eat meat.
Is it Kelly Hogan that says, eat meat, save the humans? Or eat meat, save a human, I think she says, which I think is pretty cool.
Wow.
All right, guys. So you stay there. I'm going to end the stream in a sec. Thank you all for joining us. I'll see you next Tuesday with my next guest, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.